Hello, I'm Robyn Moore. Thank you so much for choosing to watch this webinar. Well, as you can see, I'm filming in my lounge room from my beautiful home city in Hobart, Tasmania. Welcome. And look, I turned 70 this year. There's no way I'm going to do this webinar without any makeup. I do have my Ugg boots on underneath though, so I'm very comfy doing things like this. So we're going to be going on a roller coaster ride, a journey into the power of the word today, and I invite you to travel with me. For those of you who don't know me, I started my career as an educator in 1972. Graduated, that's a long time ago. And I'm also a voice-over artist. Every time I open this hole in my face, I get words to come out through that hole, out through a microphone, out through a speaker, into your ears, eyes, minds, hearts and spirits. So I'm in love with the power that words have. And I've probably been in millions of homes, so we already know each other. You know me doing the iconic jingle for Spray and Wipe. Some of you may have laughed for the last 34 years to Australia's longest running radio show called How Green Was My Cactus? Moving forward, where we've been sending up our politicians ever since Bob Hawke came into power. I do all the female voices, Keith Scott does all the male voices. And some of you, if you're 36 years of age or younger, have been babysat by me, or your children have been babysat by me, with this little iconic cartoon character sounding like, "Hello, my name is Blinky Bill." I know it's a mental health issue, isn't it? But for over 20 years, Blinky's been ringing children at Make-A-Wish and suicidal teenagers, and his little voice has actually created great healing results. So that's why I love the power of the word to heal, to grow, to impact, to encourage, to persuade, to empower, to promote, to market, to sell people back to themselves. So my job as a speaker has been profound over the last 25 plus years, where I take people on journeys through the word and telling powerful stories and using lovely distinctions, philosophical distinctions that have you go, bugger me. So I'm interested in taking people beyond informed to transformed, where they don't actually recognise themselves anymore. But when you're transformed, you need to do tailored talks. And my dilemma today is that you're from all different sectors. So I've put together a presentation that hopefully will impact every single one of you wherever you are in these circumstances at the moment. Well, you may actually be feeling like this right now with the COVID-19 situation. But, some of you may be feeling it's all too much. I did a very short video which I put on my Facebook page, and lots of people have enjoyed that. This is an extended version where I dig down a little bit deeper. But there was a crisis well before the virus hit the world. In Australia, well before Christmas, we had people in dire circumstances. I was speaking in Dubbo before Christmas and took this photo of the fire front from the Blue Mountains right up to the north, and was aching thinking of those people's circumstances. When I was speaking in Cobar, their dirt was lifted up, all their topsoil was lifted up and transported to Gilgandra, for goodness sake. Look at this fire front that people had to endure, had to sort of wait to see what the circumstances would deliver for them. Terrible. And then the big roller coaster started in 2020, and we all bought a ticket with great expectations and dreams and aspirations. Some of us were given a ticket to all kinds of different futures, and then we were all given a ticket for the pandemic. Now, some of you said, no, I didn't buy a ticket. No, we were given a ticket. None of us was immune. And the roller coaster ride we're on is taking us up and down and around and up and over and under and all over the place, where we could be sometimes feeling very overwhelmed. And there's been a lot of noise coming at us with blah, 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 too much, too soon, too much information and goal setting, and this is what you should do and this is how you should act. And it's all, no, too much. Stop, breathe, so you can just stay on the ride. So I wanted to take you into the distinctions which help me actually stay on the roller coaster ride and not want to get off. And how do you do that? Well, I think it's time to actually step back and do some triage on ourselves and take a look in the mirror and ask, how are we doing in the face of all of this? I did that with some lovely remote educators in early years. A few weeks ago, we had a Skype session, and I say to them, which word defines how you're feeling at the moment? Let's actually name the feelings. Let's look in the mirror and say, this is how I'm feeling. This is it. And there were words like discombobulation, disempowerment, anxiety. Some people said, oh, I feel really elated and inspired and motivated. And because we were doing this Skype session, we were actually connecting. So that actually impacted the negative emotions and took them into a positive arena. What I did with these people was show them a little diagram I often use in my talks. It's a diagram of the roller coaster ride, and it goes up and down and up and down. And this is how life generally is. It is a roller coaster ride. And most people want life to go like this. Bzzz. But if you've watched ER or RPA, you're dead. We don't want that kind of a life. So wherever you are on the roller coaster is completely normal. Sometimes you'll be down here, sometimes in the middle, sometimes up high. It's all totally appropriate given these circumstances. All part of normal. So what we did was just discuss, well, who's feeling down here? And I shared that, as a speaker, initially I felt a little bit discombobulated because after speaking all around the world, 183 flights one year, once I did 18 flights in 8 days, and then suddenly nothing. All of my talks have either been cancelled or postponed. I don't know when I'm going to be speaking again. And I'm a communicator, a connector, I contribute. So there for a while I felt a bit disempowered and discombobulated. But the funny thing was, in the Skype session, I actually felt motivated and inspired because we were all together. We all discussed our feelings, and it's a great idea if you're watching this to go and get some paper and just draw a roller coaster diagram on the piece of paper, and let's plot where you are. I mean, at the moment, my older son and his wife are in New York City. They're both actors, and they're in day 40 of lockdown. I've actually stopped sending funny quotes and funny videos because a few weeks ago, 1,900 people passed away due to the virus, and my son said, "Mum, it's not funny anymore." We looked at people's circumstances in Australia with the virus. As I'm recording right now, 63 people have lost their lives, and my heart breaks for those people who couldn't attend funerals for their loved ones. Some of you may have had people who died from other circumstances and you haven't been able to farewell your loved ones. Some of you, have lost your jobs. Some are, have your businesses teetering on the brink. There's all kinds of things going on here. Some people watching may actually be so affected they are getting out of it, where you actually leave the roller coaster and are out here. I do a lot of work with people who are troubled and where they leave the roller coaster ride. People who are affected by drought for 5 years, students in schools where there have been suicides, natural disasters. And when people are out here, if we don't give them access to getting back on the ride, sadly, we'll actually lose them off the roller coaster ride altogether. So how do you get back on the ride under these circumstances? It's by opening this hole in your face, picking up the phone and talking to somebody. Share with somebody. Thank God we live in this country, Australia, where we have so many support organisations. At the moment there'll be people facing domestic violence. There's people there to assist you. So please take advantage and get back on the roller coaster ride. When I'm talking to teenagers, I always say, you can be out here, but you can get back here by seeking help. And the lovely trick about being in the bottom of the ride is this is where you grow your character. We're going to learn things during this pandemic that will actually make us better people. And that's where you grow yourself. This is the learning pit, according to Carol Dweck. So some people are in the middle here where everything's kind of okay. Well, that's because we woke up in Australia today. Thank God we didn't wake up in Syria. Waking up in Australia, you've got government support and relief packages. We've got beautiful clients like my Meals on Wheels. I spoke to them recently. Catholic Care, Anglicare. You've got support organisations like the Salvos. The list goes on and on and on because in Australia, we give people a leg up. You know, we're the country where if you're breathing and feeling dead, we will help you out. Some of you are up here and noticing all kinds of wonderful things going on in the community, and you're buoyed up and you're finding innovative ideas and you're connecting and you're growing your business in the face of adversity. It's lovely to be now watching sort of kindness and watching optimism and watching generosity and all of those lovely characteristics. So when you actually can see yourself in the mirror and see where you are on the ride, you can actually move where you are in this position, because it's a moving feast. I'd advise you to get a little fridge magnet and put this diagram on your fridge and plot where you are each day. Do it with your children so that it's okay to be sad on certain days, in certain situations, and then inspire them to move along the roller coaster ride so they can experience other feelings on the ride. My youngest son and his wife have bought a puppy. How wonderful is that? A puppy-led recovery through this COVID-19 virus. So I want to introduce you to some friends of mine who have been rolling along this roller coaster ride. Well, actually not rolling, but paddling, because this is my Dragons Abreast Australia colleagues. This whole group of people, we're all in sync because at some stage in our lives we've all had breast cancer. And they paddle to stay fit. They paddle to connect, to move, and to live life fully. Now, at the moment, they can't paddle, but I bet you they're still enlivened at home because this is their normal. They've already faced uncertainty. They've kind of embraced it already. I'm an honorary member of this team from Devonport. They're called Nipples on Ripples. Made me laugh. It was either them or join the Brisbane team, which is called Miss a Bit of Titty. So you can get the thrust of their sense of humour. You know, buying that puppy has totally transformed my younger son and his wife's lives. Last week we actually transformed Chloe's life at Make-A-Wish. I've been national patron and a volunteer for 27 years. And sadly, because of the pandemic, 80% of our families and children's wishes have been impacted. So we have to reimagine how we're going to deliver the wishes for the children. But last week, we delivered Chloe's precious wish for a puppy. And the lovely thing is, after 2 years of facing her critical illness, she now has this puppy, which she's called Wish. Isn't that precious? Wow, the magic. So, you know, when you start to notice up here the gratitude, you see things on TV that inspire you, like Brazil had this beautiful tribute to all of their frontline healthcare workers. What a lovely tribute that is. We've connected with people. I'm hearing from people all around the world and relatives and friends that I hadn't sort of connected with for years. It's been delightful. And the kindness that's out there in our society. Somebody was handed this envelope that says, had some luck paying it forward. Inside, $100. You know, we'll start to notice when we're at the top of the roller coaster, creativity. Somebody in a block of flats put some toothpicks in this board so that you don't have to touch the lift buttons. How creative is that? This family in the UK sang from Les Mis, "One More Day," and they've just gone viral in a good way, This beautiful man here, sitting backwards on a horse, is a Queensland remote principal. He and his colleagues are banded together, and on Facebook, every day at 5 o'clock, they have the mystery reader. And they read stories to the children, so you can hook into that with your kids. This particular man is reading one of my favourite stories, The Book of Bums. It will make you chuckle. It will give you a little bit of relief in this very significant time of our lives. Some of you will be now accessing and embracing laughter. And how precious is that? It's a laugh a day keeps the doctor away. It's more than an apple. So, you know, right over in Western Australia, Daniel Askew came up with this great idea, bin isolation outing. And the rules are, the challenge is to dress up in a costume or good clothes to take the bin out weekly. Now, I've just been connecting with a lady from the United Emirates, and she said, "Oh, dear Robyn, I am enjoying your Australian sense of humour and watching the bin people every day." So, you know, that's impacting people right round the world. You know, this first joke that came out. "Hi, darling, I'm down the pub with the lads having a quiet drink. Unfortunately, someone just coughed everywhere, so we've been quarantined. See you in 14 days. Now, that was funny a couple of weeks ago, but boy, don't the goalposts change? I mean, the pubs are shut now. Where are the staff? Are they in a dole queue somewhere? Have they got a relief package? How are they doing? So be careful with laughter. We can, you know, go too far into the laughter corner when sometimes it's not appropriate. So you can bring laughter to people or use discernment and bring listening. Have a listening heart with people. So every time I speak, I always count the seconds. Here they are, the gorgeous, golden, delicious hours, and gone. Right now I'm in the Hobart seconds. Which seconds are you in? Where you are? What's it like right now? I love this photo of a sunrise. It's a very special photo. It was taken on our anniversary. I've been married for 48 years, and one of the lovely pluses from this pandemic is that I'm at home now with my beautiful old love, my beautiful husband, and we're promise keepers, and he makes me laugh. The other day, he's a philosopher and he has lots of opinions, and he was watching Donald Trump's press conference, and he was standing in the middle of the room when it finished, and I said, "Are you okay?" And he was going, I said, "What's the matter?" And he said, "I've got an opinion and I can't do anything with it." He was almost bursting. But this is the first second of the new dawn of the new millennium in 2001 from the top of Mount Wellington. Isn't that a precious second? And every single second is unique. It's a first time one. Come back! Can't get them back. You know, and I know it's easy to leave the seconds behind and miss them. I could be making passionate love to my husband and suddenly think, oh my goodness, the ceiling needs painting. I probably shouldn't have shared that in this webinar, but you know, we miss the seconds, don't we? They disappear. Well, this man completely has no seconds. He doesn't know what day it is. This is my favourite video family. They live in America, the Holderness family. Write that down. And he sings parodies. And this one's called I Want to Know What Day It Is. It's the parody on the Foreigner song. It is hysterical. But you know, every day when you wake up into these beautiful seconds, you get to be the author. I mean, little kids get this faster than adults. We've got too much plaque on top of us, but kids just get it straight away. You put your foot out on the floor. As you wake up, you go, this is my first second. And you get to say which word you're going to be for the day. Facebook doesn't tell you. You know, Donald Trump doesn't tell you. The world press doesn't tell you. The pandemic doesn't tell you. You tell you. So which word are you going to be today? There's so many to choose from, so many empowering words. And, you know, you might be saying, oh, that's all right for you. You know, you don't have my crisis. Well, I love going back to the root word, crisis. Let's pull it apart and actually check in on it. Crisis, if you look at the Greek, the etymology, the words interpretation, distinguishing, separation, judgment, decision, they all come up. So perhaps a crisis isn't as bad as we think it is. Perhaps a crisis could be a time to sift and separate what matters, what doesn't. That's been a huge bugger me moment for me, where a crisis is actually quite an inviting time where you can invent the best of yourself. Choose who you're going to be right now. I collect empowering words. And I wake up every day and I know who I'm going to be. So today, who am I being? I'm being my purpose. That's why I'm doing this webinar. Otherwise, I'd be out gardening or walking on the beach or cooking. But I've chosen to be my purpose, which is to be an irresistible invitation to fully participate in life. 10 words. So I'm hoping that I'm inviting you into fully participating in your life. I'm being my intent. What's my intent today? My intent is that this is going to be so valuable, you'll never forget this webinar as long as you live. There you are, I've said it, it's out there. Now, some of you are feeling sick at the moment hearing me say that. But look, I was lucky enough to speak in Ireland, in Athlone, to 600 Irish rural women. There's a lovely adage in Ireland, if you want to climb over a great big wall, first throw your hat over. At least you'll be committed. And so I've metaphorically thrown my hat over the wall, and I'm climbing over the wall and pulling my hat back by sharing stories with you that I hope, you know, give you a bugger me moment. Who are you going to be? Are you going to be a leader today, you know, with your family, with your colleagues, with your community? Are you going to be just present to these seconds? It's lovely how my clients just take this on and they practice it immediately. It's so beable. Immediately beable. I was speaking to a staff of a huge department store, and I said to them at the end, you know, every second you get to say which empowering word you're going to be. So tomorrow, write down which word it's going to be and put it behind your name tag. Have that word there to keep it front of mind. And a couple of weeks later, I went in to check on the staff, and I was watching Josh, this beautiful young man, serve the customers, and he was serving them exquisitely. And I went over afterwards and I said, Josh, you were just amazing with the customers. Which word had you chosen to be? And he said, oh, not just one word. He said, I got 3 words. And I said, what are your words? And he said, pedantic, helpful, and accountable. Wow. That's who he was. That's what I was watching. Helpful, pedantic, accountable, serving these lovely people. Wouldn't you like your staff, your colleagues, your family to actually be responsible for who they're being so simply? Little kids, as I say, grab this in a second. I was with a school in the northwest Tasmania, and I said to them, as we say goodbye today, which empowering word are you going to be? And a little boy said, I have a word. And I said, what's your word, Lockie? And he said, lifeful. And I said, oh, wow, Lockie, that's a beautiful word. Did you just make that up? And he went, and I said, I'm going to steal your word, Lockie, and I'm going to share it with all my audiences and all my friends and family. And I went home and I looked it up on Google, and it was last used in the 13th century. We don't use it anymore. We use life less. It'd be really lovely to maybe choose the word lifeful every now and again. Maybe even today. I still have to thank Lockie every day because my mum passed away afterwards, and we were looking for a word to put on her headstone. And if you go down to the cemetery now, you'll see on her headstone, Mary Elizabeth Wilkinson, lifeful. Isn't that beautiful? Thanks, Lockie. Really great. Oh, by the way, that list that you saw there, I keep a list. If you want some of these, just email me and I'll send you all the list of words that I've collected. Some companies actually get me to send the list, and then they cut them all up and put them in a bag if nobody can invent their own word, and they pull out a word every day and they become that word. It's fun and it's empowering. So some of you are watching this going, and you want to throw up, and you're saying, take me now, Lord, because it's a bit, airy-fairy for some people. It's a bit touchy-feely. Well, I'm sorry about that. You can be any word you want to be. You could choose the word dickhead for all I care. But look, there's just too many of them in the world today. So maybe choose an empowering word. Cynicism. It's one of the 4 thieves that will steal your very dignity, will steal your behaviours, will steal your intent, it will steal your purpose, it will steal your humanity. And I'm going to introduce you to the 4 thieves that can wreck lives. First one is cynicism. My favourite definition of a cynic is a person who is prematurely disappointed in the future. They don't actually have a future. They can't see possibility. I had a man one day in a talk, and he sat like this, and he was looking at me as though he'd just sort of farted and was sitting in it. And he came up afterwards and he said, I have a black belt in cynicism, and you got me. And I thought, wow, thank you very much for sharing that. He'd had a complete bugger me moment and actually saw his own behaviour and made a choice to be other than that. And cynicism, we need some antidote, don't we? Some vaccine. Well, a 5-year-old gave me the vaccine. I was sitting next to a teacher on a plane, and she said she went into kindergarten one day and a little girl had done a painting of a purple tree. And she said, oh, darling, that's a lovely painting, but I don't think I've ever seen a purple tree before. And the little girl looked up with a big smile on her face and she said, too bad. Now, hear how I'm saying that. She wasn't being rude or malicious. She was saying, I'm so sorry you can't see it, because there it is. Now, some of you, when you become bigger than cynicism, you can find innovation and creativity and solutions. And, you might be out there all, doing different things in your business, operating in a different framework, inspiring your staff, being a volunteer. And people will say, oh, I don't know why you're doing that. It's all too hard at the moment. No one's paying you for that. Oh, you'll get over it. Well, don't let cynics, vomit on top of your enthusiasm. It's yours, and it's simply too bad. So here's some, lovely things that happen when you're no longer cynical. This lovely man in the UK owns a souvenir shop. Now, you can't buy masks, can you? So he solved that problem. He has thongs for sale. And so he's found this way to attach the thong, kind of to his face. I think it's very effective. Personally, I'm nearly 70, so I don't own a thong. They're a little bit uncomfortable up the clacker. The next thief to watch out for is resignation. When it's all too hard and it's not fair and people sell out. I was working with a lovely franchise group, and they were bookkeepers. And I said to them, "How are you doing in your business?" And a man put his hand up and he said, "Oh, it's just so hard." And I was being a bit of a devil this day, and I said, "I know." And I was trying to get him back on the roller coaster, and I said, "Look, it's about making friends with hard. There is uncertainty in life. It is going to be hard every now and again. And it's about embracing hard, making friends with hard." And I came up with a really creative idea. I said, "You're going to wake up every morning and say, 'Good morning, hard.'" And he smiled and he said, "That's how I wake up every morning." Now, so don't turn off the webinar now. I know that's a bit Rudy-doos. But what happened was miraculous. He laughed so hard, and so did everybody else, that we all had a giant bugger me moment. And he transformed how he ran his business. I met my client a year later, and I said, "How is that man, the hard man, going?" And she said, "Oh, he took on a couple of staff members and his business is thriving, absolutely thriving." So, what's the vaccine for resignation? Well, I think it might be hope or laughter. In his case, it was laughter. But it can be hope. And in Hobart, we're really, really blessed because David Walsh, who owns Mona, has just given us a present. And the present is Spectra. It's this amazing light installation with 9 lights, and the lights shine kilometres up into the sky. It's as though it reaches up into heaven. And he's installed this just near Mona, and it's going to stay alight until the end of the pandemic. So that is a lovely gesture to bring hope to a whole city. Now, you don't have to be a David Walsh and spend millions on that. But you can bring hope to your kids, you can bring hope to your family, to your colleagues, your mates, your friends, to the community. Just look for ways to be hopeful, life full, and take some action. So what's the next thief? It's anger. When I'm in schools, I always say to the kids, hands up if your parents come home at the end of the day tired and angry. And guess what? All the hands go up. We don't just have the pandemic at the moment, we have this epidemic of tired and angry parents. And they say, "Oh, I'm going to come home tired and miserable, tired and jaded, tired and overwhelmed, tired and not tonight, Barry, tired and I don't want to cook the tea, tired and I'm going to whinge until you all feel responsible that I've got a job." But the secret is actually that you can be tired and stick an empowering word next to tired. I know, look, a lot of my friends have said they want to stick Velcro all over their walls and their houses and stick their kids on the walls because they're working from home. And it is challenging. But the quote that may help you have a bugger me is one that came from JFK. It's beautiful. He said, "Children are the living messages we send to a time we will not see." Your kids at the moment are watching every move you make. They're listening to every word you speak. Little eyes and ears, just absorbing who you are being in the face of adversity. This is an invitation, a time for you to actually shine, to show them your best selves, to be a hero or a heroine, not just parents, it's aunties and uncles and grandparents and friends and siblings. It's everybody to shine at this time, so that they'll always remember in that tough time, oh, never forget when. And they sparkle because something great is in their memory, not the terrible times. Now look at this. Bliss. Isn't that beautiful? This is an invitation to actually invite your children into their bliss, to be a bliss maker, a bliss restorer, where you can find their hidden talents and gifts and actually inspire them to fulfill these, to play them out, to explore. I love looking at this array of children all exploring their lovely gifts and talents. When I graduated from Hobart Teachers College, my favourite lecturer said, "You'll know you're a good educator, a good parent, a good leader, if you can say, 'I didn't stop them.'" I mean, it's no accident that our older son is an actor. We had role play and dress-up boxes. We still have one down in the garage now. You know, it's no accident because he was an actor waiting to happen. Our younger son, it's no accident that he's an architect. When he was 6, he had an exercise book where he designed hotels, for goodness sake. So, you know, it's really important now to look out and be the best parent you dare to be. Like this lovely lady, Allison Davies. She's a music therapist in Tasmania. And she's come up with this really healing little ditty. It's a song, a mantra, a confirmation, and an aspiration. And if children sing this, and they're singing it all around the world now, they seem to feel better. It enhances their wellness. And, you know, they probably sing it when they're daydreaming, when they're riding their bikes, when they're playing with their pets. And it goes something like this. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. And it's so easy, so singable. It's just lovely. Look at this beautiful man. He's inspired the world. He's an astronaut, Commander Chris Hadfield. And he's giving information on CNN about how to cope with isolation because he lived in the space station for so long. He was telling a story recently about the inspiration behind his desire to go into space. And it came from a teacher when he was a little boy. She gave him a 1 metre plot of land to study. And he used to spend all his time just being lost in the space of this. This was the germ of an idea that he wanted to go and be an astronaut. Funnily enough, it's an exercise I did with my children when I was a first year out teacher. And my little kids would be down in the gully near the school at 8 o'clock in the morning, lying down studying their 1 metre of land. Wow, simple beginnings, huge futures. Tired and grateful, tired and funny, tired and fun mum, tired and crazy mum. I was saying this to some parents. You can have tea under the table some nights if you're crazy mum, crazy dad. And a teacher from Alice Springs sent this lovely photo of her kids having pizza underneath the table. You know, there's a beautiful fun dad in Townsville. I was speaking there last year. And 2 days later, the whole place was completely flooded. This man made the news because this terrific flooded and a funny hero dad blew up a rubber crocodile and he wrestled it in front of his children. You can hear them giggling in the background of the video. What a super duper dad. They're going to remember that, you know, after they've forgotten about any hardship they experienced. So the fourth thief, it's procrastination. Oh, and it's all too much. Procrastination is such a killer. You know, I went to buy some peanut butter one day at a supermarket and I got a whole lot of extra stuff. You know what it's like, there was no basket, no trolley, and I dropped the jar of peanut butter and it smashed everywhere. This is what happened. The woman on the cash register tapped the microphone and she said, "Mop and bucket to cash register 5, mop and bucket. Mop and bucket to cash register 5, mop and bucket. Wayne, I know you can hear me." Now, I thought we were on candid camera. It got worse. She said, "Wayne, I can see you hiding behind the boxes." Well, we were all in hysterics. Wayne didn't come to clean up the mess. He nicked off and went home. And their slogan was something like, "We love to serve." Not. Nobody had trained Wayne to be the author. He could have been, you know, coming to work instead of saying, "I'm going to work." He could have said, "I'm going to serve. I'm going to help. I'm going to be, you know, lifeful." But he didn't know he was the author, and that's where procrastination creeps in. So how do you remember the 4 thieves? Well, cynicism starts with a C, resignation starts with an R, anger starts with an A, and procrastination starts with a P. And what have you got? You've got crap, C-R-A-P. And you know, there's a lot of crap around at the moment, and you are totally entitled to have a massive crap attack, I call them, whenever you want. A short crap attack is very healthy. It means you care about something behind it. But a long crap attack will kill you. You know, if you've got a short one going on, have some fun with it. Put a sign on your door, "Don't bother me now, having a massive crap attack. Be back in my life in 10 minutes. But a long one will steal all the things that matter from your humanity. It will steal leadership. It will steal vitality, health, wellness, parenting, joy, laughter, relationships, love, harmony, peace. All of those beautiful characteristics will be stolen. So I hope this has been helpful. I haven't got time to do a crap attack disarmament procedure with you. I do this with all my audiences. But each and every one of my audiences report profound results when they get to see what's been stolen by the 4 thieves that spell crap. In fact, one of my clients, Kraft, sent this beautiful thank you. This was many years ago, so I can tell the story. They were going through a tough time, and we did the crap attack disarmament procedure, and they had this massive breakthrough, and so much so they sent this lovely thank you. So, coming to the end, here we all are, all in this together, as the song goes. There's a lady who was doing it tough during this pandemic. She'd lost her job, and she didn't know what was, going to happen in the future. She was reading the paper one Sunday, and her little boy came over and he said, "Mummy, Mummy, play with me, play with me." She said, "Look, leave me alone. I'm trying to read the paper. It's been a hell of a week." "But Mummy, play with me, please." This lady noticed a map of the world in the paper, and she held it up. She tore it out, held it up and said, "Look, hundreds of countries on this. I'm going to tear it up into tiny little pieces. You be a good boy, sit over there in the corner with a sticky tape, and when you solve the puzzle, I'll play with you." She thought she had 2 hours. He came back in 5 minutes and he said, "I finished." She said, "You finished? How'd you do that so quickly?" He said, "It was easy because when you held the map up, I could see that there was a picture of a person behind it. So when I got the person back together, then the world worked." It's a lovely story to remind us that we can't get the whole world together until we step back and get ourselves together first. So I hope there's been some really valuable bugger me moments and stories and distinctions in this presentation, so that you can actually get yourself back together in the face of all of this, and then you can roll out, who you're going to be with your family, in your relationship, in your workplace, your community, and make a real difference. A lovely quote I found the other day, and I want to hug Dave Hollis, whoever he is, but I have to keep my social distancing going. But he said, "In the rush to return to normal, use this time to consider which parts of normal are worth rushing back to." A great thing to consider. When we go back to the roller coaster ride, as I said, our Dragons Abreast people and my Make-A-Wish families, this uncertainty is all part of their normal, and they live with that and they embrace it. It's all part of normal. But you'll be noticing some lovely things that maybe you can bring as the new normal into your new future. One of the lovely things that is going to be part of my new normal is walking. I'd stopped walking. I was too busy, and now I get to walk on Sandy Bay Beach. I'm not going to let that go. I have another practice that I'm going to keep going, and that is I take a photo every day of something where I capture beauty. This was taken yesterday when a friend dropped off some beautiful fresh apples picked from their tree in the Huon Valley. It's a John Gold, cross between Jonathan and Golden Delicious, the best apple ever created on the planet. And in my backyard, a couple of days before, I found this beautiful fern frond unfolding, a fern frond unfolding. I like alliteration. I was doing some sorting. Go through all of your boxes, go through your photos, put together your chronology, your whole family history. Invite your family into savouring all of those special seconds so that they can put the whole part of their life, the jigsaw puzzle, into perspective. And cook. I made that cake. I was very proud of myself. It was one of the birthday cakes for my sons. And this morning, what was the moment of beauty? Finding this little potteroo in the backyard in Hobart. What a lovely moment that was. Normally I'm too busy to notice things like that. So I wish you every happiness. I wish that you stay well and safe, and I hope our paths cross again via webinar or Skype or Zoom or on stage somewhere in the future. So Blinky always has the last word.
Keep on being extraordinary because, well, you may as well.
So keep safe and well.